Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon News Update for May 10th, 2024. We're going to start off with some interesting and somewhat unexpected news this morning. I will read straight from Item B on the Fairview, Texas Planning and Zoning meeting agenda from last night. But first, let's watch a few quick clips from that meeting.
The building is constructed to reflect each of the members' faith.
The spire means hope in Jesus Christ. It means we can overcome adversity in our lives. It points to heaven.
Why is the largest temple in Texas being shoehorned into a residential area in Fairview, Texas?
We warmly welcome the LDS temple to our great town of Fairview, but only if they follow the current zoning regulations.
Now on to Item B. Conduct a public hearing to consider, discuss, and make a recommendation on a request for approval of a conditional use permit for a religious facility. The 8.1-acre site is located on the north side of Stacy Road, west of Meandering Way, and is zoned for the RE1 1-acre Ranch Estate District. Side note, RE1 means this zone is designed to promote and encourage a suitable environment for family life on land parcels of not less than 1 acre. This classification is to be used only for suburban single-family homes and the community services and facilities pertinent thereto. Maximum height of building, 35 feet or 2 stories, whichever is less. Back to the agenda. Applicant Tom Coppin, Kimley Horn and Associates, representing owners the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then in all caps red lettering it says, denied. This is, of course, just the beginning of the process, and because this was denied does not mean the church has to find somewhere else to build the temple. It just means that there's been a stall. They will, of course, keep fighting, and by fighting I mean possibly find the right politicians to donate to, and odds are we will see this be pushed through at some point. But I am happy to report this morning that the citizens were heard, and this initial part of the process has been denied. Next up, a bank teller working at Tonga Development Bank has been sentenced after embezzling $72,857.60 from a Mormon church account. Ava Ailolo, age 28, stole from an account held by the wards of Ha'alaufuli, Ta'anea, and Holeva. She was caught after Duran Ormond, a manager of the LDS Pacific Division based in Utah, spotted a problem with the account, prompting an investigation. The inquiry was in relation to cash deposits expected to be made into an LDS church account. The unaccounted amount was $3,765 deposited on December 28, 2021, $1,580.40 on September 5th, 2022, $4,260 on October 3rd, 2022, and $345 on October 28th, 2022. These deposits were cashed from Sunday church tithe offerings. I listed those just because the church never tells us how much it brings in tithing, so I thought it was interesting that those amounts have come out because of some embezzlement. The TBD head office investigated the matter, and they realized they could not locate their copies of the receipts for the said deposits. Upon internal investigation, it was established Ailolo was responsible for the missing money. Ailolo wrote letters to her supervisors to apologize, including one which to inform them that she wrongfully kept the receipts for the cash deposits she received, and she did not post the funds into these accounts. She kept this from everyone because she was scared, but never attempted to destroy the receipts. Ailolo has not repaid any of the aforesaid amount to the bank or customers. On the count of embezzlement, the accused is to serve 9 months of imprisonment. Don't mess with the church's money. Next up, 2 members of the Primary General Advisory Council have been called and began their service in April. They work with the Primary General Presidency to help meet the needs of children around the world. Kathleen F. Kelly, 68, from the Cottonwood 13th Ward, Salt Lake Cottonwood State, earned a bachelor's degree in education from BYU, married Thomas Kelly, and together they have 5 children. She served with her husband as they presided over the Italy-Rome mission from 2010 to 2013 and is a former Church History Museum docent, Stake Young Women's President, Ward Relief Society President, Ward Young Women President, Ward Primary Presidency Counselor, Primary Music Leader, Relief Society Teacher, and Temple Ordinance Worker. Diane Wonderly, 59, of the Alpine 2nd Ward, Alpine, Utah, North Stake, studied health sciences at the University of Utah, not BYU, she's a little rogue, and worked as an accounting manager and dental assistant. Married to David J. Wonderly, 4 children, served with her husband as they presided over the Cape Verde Praia mission from 2020 to 2023, and as Provo Missionary Training Center Branch Missionaries. She's a former Stake Relief Society Society president, Ward Young Women president, Ward Primary president, Ward Relief Society presidency counselor, Ward Young Women presidency counselor, Ward Primary presidency counselor, Relief Society teacher, Young Women advisor, nursery leader, institute instructor, and temple ordinance worker. It's almost like there are 17 million members of the church, but about 1% of them get all of the higher callings. Also take note, both of these women served as their husbands were mission presidents, which is one of the things on the list of things that one must do to get a higher calling in the church. The church has also made the New York Times in an article entitled Mormon Missionaries, Some Big Changes. Now, I'll just read a few snippets that I found interesting. The church has loosened its strict rules for those evangelizing, and many members of Gen Z are loving it. Andres Gonzalez, 19, stands on the balcony of his LA apartment, his hands in his suit pockets. It is his first week as a missionary, but today, instead of approaching people on the street, he's shooting a video that he will later post to social media. After about a dozen takes, he is successful. Hello, if you would like to learn more about Jesus Christ, he says to the camera in Spanish, contact me. Mr. Gonzalez is the image of the modern missionary for the church. In the last few years, the church has also changed some rules for missionaries themselves, loosening restrictions on dress code. Women can wear pants now. Ooh, I thought that kind of changed in the 50s, but turns out the church is always a little behind. And how often missionaries can call family members back home, which is now once a week, not just on Christmas and Mother's Day. To outsiders, the adjustments may seem small, but to missionaries who adhere to strict rules while on assignment, the shifts are dramatic. We've seen a lot of big changes, Jensen Diedrich, 23, said. He served his mission in Peru and said it was monumental when the church allowed him to call home weekly instead of just twice a year. The church believes missionary work is essential for the world's salvation and that people must be baptized in the faith to get to the highest level of heaven after they die. Kate Kennington, a 19-year-old with a mission assignment to London, said finding people online and messaging them is a more successful way of approaching potential converts. It's how I would want to be contacted, she said. Knocking on doors and approaching people on the street are no longer seen as useful as they once were because of shifts in American culture, said Matthew Bowman, a professor of religion and history at Claremont Graduate University who holds the chair of Mormon Studies. He is also a church member. It's interesting that he pointed that it's because of a shift in American culture when missionaries are worldwide. For decades, missionaries' clean-cut suits were signs of prosperity, Mr. Bowman said, and an effective way of appealing to converts, but now they feel outdated. So far, the changes appear to be working, and let's be clear, they're working to get more missionaries out, not to get more converts. In the last 3 years, as pandemic restrictions lifted and young members responded to an appeal from the church's top leader for them to serve, the number of full-time proselytizing missionaries has risen by around 25%. However, the church has just under 17.3 million members and has seen growth slow. From 1988 to 1989, during a surge in growth when the church expanded into West Africa, the church grew by about 9%. Last year, though, the church grew by a mere 1.5%. Church leaders say it's men's responsibility to become missionaries for 2 years, starting at age 18. Missionary work is optional for women because the church encourages women to focus on marriage and motherhood. While on a mission, missionaries cannot date and must follow the religion's ban on premarital sex, drinking, smoking, coffee, and caffeinated tea. Communication with friends and family back home is restricted. Every morning, missionaries wake up at 6:30 a.m. and are required to be with their companion. They are mandated to never be alone, with few exceptions, and each day follow a missionary schedule. The missionary experience is not for everyone. Some people feel isolated, find it difficult to adapt to a location, or struggle with the rules or the pressure to keep their commitment. Some people do leave early. The church does not comment on those who do. You know why? Because they don't have to. Because if you're sent home early or you go home early, and whether or not you tell people why, the rumors will fly. And most people will assume it's because you broke the law of chastity. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the Friday, yay, that you deserve.